Hey everybody, it's low carb and keto nutrition specialist Amy Berger bringing you the one and only keto without the crazy. One quick thing before I get into the topic, I always have to have an announcement. Heaven forbid I actually just start talking to you about the subject at hand. Adapt Your Life, the company with whom I helped create that amazing, awesome Keto Made Simple masterclass, we have a course on sugar and food addiction. This is a huge hole in the keto world that nobody's really talking about, that we really, really have to start talking about. Because many of us, and I say many of us because I include myself in us, many of us have these issues to some extent or another, and we need help. So I am so honored to tell you that we are going to help you. We have a course on sugar and food addiction with Vera Tarman. Vera Tarman, MD. She is a physician who specializes in food addiction and sugar addiction and helping people recover. And she herself is a recovered sugar and food addict. She is maintaining a 100-pound weight loss for something like 12 years or something crazy like that. She knows what she's doing. So check out the link to the sugar and food addiction course. Okay, today's topic is something that I have never experienced myself, but I know many of you have because I get asked about it a lot. Now, not that I've never experienced it, but I haven't experienced it specifically in conjunction with keto. What am I talking about? Those dreaded leg cramps or Charley horses where it's usually your calf, but sometimes your thigh, usually that calf muscle just seizes up on you and it's incredibly painful. It tends to come out of nowhere and you just kind of have to ride it out. You just kind of have to wait for that muscle to relax itself. This is a thing. This happens to a lot of you. So if you have experienced this, but you kind of didn't know that this was a thing, this is a thing. You're not the only one. You're not alone. I don't know if we really know why this happens, except it probably has something to do with electrolyte balance. Sodium, magnesium, potassium play a huge role in the contracting and relaxation. I'm going to say expansion, contracting and relaxing of muscle fibers, of the literal fibers that are what make your muscles move, make them do things. So these electrolytes are critical. And it could be that just sort of rapid shifts through no fault of your own. No one ever really triggers these. They come out of nowhere. Usually at night, very, very often at night. I don't know why, but very often at night. So if you have these nighttime leg cramps or nighttime muscle seizures, you're not alone. This is a very common thing. So what do you do about it? You don't care that it's common. You don't care that anyone else is affected. You want to know what to do when it strikes you. Okay. The two tried and true remedies, and don't laugh. Those of you who know what I'm about to say because it works for you every time aren't going to laugh, but if you're new to this, mustard and pickle juice. And here's a little thing that might make you chuckle. When I tell people that the big go-to remedies are mustard and pickle juice, I have to specify you have to put those in your mouth and swallow them. It's not like, don't take mustard and rub it on your leg muscle like a poultice or something, like a salve. Don't sprinkle some pickle juice on your muscle that's seizing up. No, you want to drink the stuff. So there's no particular amount, just a generous swig of pickle juice. Mustard, like a generous squirt, however much that might be, 2 tablespoons, 1 tablespoon, a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, a tablespoon, however much it takes. And or so I've heard, because this almost never happens to me, it's almost instantaneous relief. Like within moments, you will feel better. And nobody ever really knew why, or maybe if somebody did, they weren't really explaining it publicly. I stumbled across a podcast a few weeks ago that I will share in the links. It's a radio show called The People's Pharmacy, and they actually record it right here in my current hometown. Well, not from here, but it's my home right now. I live here. Durham, North Carolina. They record right here in Durham. They record their radio show, but it's on a podcast. I'll put a link. You can find it on your favorite podcast hosting platform. It's The People's Pharmacy. I forget what episode number it is, but I'll put the link anyway, so you'll see it. And they explain the science behind this. They call it like a weird home remedy. And it turns out, even if it has to do with electrolytes, that's not the mechanism, because the relief from that muscle spasm comes so quickly that it can't be the electrolyte, because that would take longer. Your body would actually have to like absorb that stuff before you would have relief. Then it's so quick that there has to be something else going on. And these scientists put together some pretty interesting experiments, and they determined it had more to do with the nervous system, because the nervous system, boom, you turn it on and like you either don't or you do, and it's like almost instantaneous. So, and they think it has more to do with the vinegar, if I recall, with the acetic acid in these products. So theoretically, you would think you could do it with homemade ketchup. Don't use, I love Heinz, but we don't want 4 grams of high fructose corn syrup in our mouth. But if you make homemade ketchup and you use a lot of vinegar in it, some people I know, you can even just take a swig of vinegar straight up. I've trained myself to do that. I mean, I don't think it necessarily has any magical healing properties, except in this case, it kind of seems to. Because if the vinegar is what's responsible for these, for this effect, then it doesn't necessarily have to be pickle juice or olive juice or mustard. It has to be something with vinegar in it. I just think something like pickle juice or mustard is probably pretty concentrated in vinegar, and that's why it works so well. I don't know if just doing a shot of vinegar would do it, but let me just explain a little bit of details. It could be any kind of mustard. Any kind of mustard. It doesn't have to, like, stone ground, yellow, brown, horseradish, Dijon, whatever. Most people just use the cheap yellow sort of store brand mustard, because why get fancy stuff? Like, why waste fancy stuff on a squirt in your mouth for a muscle cramp? So I'll show you. I mean, this happens to be Dijon, but it's the store brand. And vinegar is the second ingredient. Vinegar is the second ingredient in this mustard. And I also have one of these like yummy, horseradish style vinegar. Oh, vinegar is the first ingredient in this one. The first ingredient. So these things are loaded with vinegar, of course, and apparently there's something about the sensation of the vinegar in your mouth that almost immediately goes to the nervous system and helps that muscle relax. Who knew? Who knew? And pickle juice, it doesn't have to be organic pickles, fancy pickles, this and that, artisan batch, this pickle juice. And they even sell, you may see it in your supermarket or wherever, shots of pickle juice, like little plastic containers of pickle juice. But why pay the premium for that? Just get the big old jar of old cheapo pickles, and if you want to eat the pickles, great, eat the pickles, but what you want is the juice. And it's so much cheaper to just buy a big jar of pickles. I mean, because of the vinegar, it's not going to go bad. You could keep that jar in your fridge for 2 years and it's not going to go bad. Now, it won't last that long. If you are one of these people that happens to get these Charley horses frequently, you're going to go through that pickle juice pretty quickly, so it doesn't matter. But my point is, you might as well get a large jar because it's not going to go bad. Nothing grows in it because of the vinegar. So, and they do, there are a lot of pickles out there, unfortunately, that do have sugar or corn syrup, but there's plenty that don't. You will have no problem finding pickles that don't. Or you could do, I just happen to have here cornichon, like the little baby pickles, that you have with like a charcuterie board. This also, vinegar is the third ingredient. Cornichon, water, and vinegar. Vinegar is the third ingredient. Another product, I'm just showing you that it doesn't have to be pickle juice. You need some kind of briny liquid that has vinegar in it. So this one is the mild banana pepper rings, like they're kind of yellowy orange, those pepper, oh, so good. Back in the day, you would put it on a sandwich. Now, you could put this on tuna fish. You could put it on pretty much anything. On a turkey, like a turkey roll-up, a lettuce roll-up, or just this goes, you could put this on anything, frankly. I mean, maybe not seafood so much, but vinegar is the third ingredient. Banana peppers, water, distilled vinegar. So you just need a briny, vinegary liquid or some mustard, because mustard has a lot of vinegar. And that's the remedy. Sometimes salt will do it, sometimes salt, but if you look, most of these things have salt in them too. Salt is the fourth ingredient in the Dijon mustard. Water, vinegar, mustard seed, salt. The horseradish mustard, vinegar, water, mustard seed, salt. The banana peppers, water, distilled vinegar, sea salt. I mean, so, and I think in terms of prevention, I mean, ideally you would prevent these like insane, tight, out of nowhere muscle cramps from happening in the first place. That could be a salt thing. You know, make sure you're getting enough sodium. My previous video was, are you getting enough sodium? Because a lot of you are not. So that could be a start. And you might try magnesium, you know. There's a lot of different brands of magnesium. I don't have a favorite. I like magnesium glycinate. I like magnesium malate, magnesium citrate. 300 milligrams or so a day, but I'm not giving medical advice. That's just like a general ballpark recommendation for a supplement. If you're on blood pressure medication, be careful supplementing anything before you talk to your doctor. Blood pressure medicines sometimes help you retain more magnesium or get rid of extra in which case you would need more. I'm not going to touch that. I just want to kind of clarify that's just a ballpark piece of information that is not personalized for you. But yeah, that's prevention, probably a little more salt, a little more magnesium. And sometimes this might happen to you anyway. And when I say these like really acute seizing muscle cramps and those Charley horses out of nowhere, I don't know if there's a similar phrase to that in languages other than English. So if you're watching this like outside the US and Charley horse, you'll have to look it up. Charley, not Charlie, like the man's in it, Charley, Charley, Charley horse. And so that's different from muscle cramps or soreness because of overexertion. Like if you lifted too hard or you were in the garden for the first time all year and you were pulling weeds for 3 hours and you're really sore, that's different. That's a very different kind of muscle soreness that probably does not really respond to the vinegar, mustard, pickle juice thing. It might, but that's a different, being sore from overexertion is different than these like out of nowhere seizing up kind of spasms. And one other thing, some of the people I know who swear by the mustard remedy actually keep packets of mustard, like those little restaurant or fast food joint size little packets of mustard. They keep a stack of those in their nightstand drawer. Because what are you going to do? You wake up out of a sound sleep at 2 a.m. and your leg is seizing up. You can't move. You can't get up and walk downstairs or upstairs or down the hall, wherever your kitchen is, to go to the fridge and get the mustard. So why not keep a pack in your nightstand? You know, rip 2 in the morning, you're barely awake. You don't have to be awake. You just got to aim right for the mouth. And that's about all the mustard you need. That's probably about 2 teaspoons worth in there. So, and that doesn't go bad. Again, because of the vinegar, it doesn't go bad. So you can keep 10, 15, 20 packs of mustard unrefrigerated in your nightstand. And in fact, these don't have to be refrigerated until you open them, right? I think it says refrigerate after opening. Nothing's going to grow in it on the shelf because of the vinegar. I happen to think you don't even probably have to, you could probably leave it out for a few days once it is open because of the vinegar. I mean, maybe not forever. Something might get in there and start to grow, but yeah, keep those packets. I think that's a really handy trick because again, when your leg is on fire out of nowhere and it's 4 in the morning, you can't walk to your kitchen. You can't get up, but you can kind of roll over, reach your hand into that drawer and grab you a pack of mustard and squeeze it right into the old mouth. So I think that's about it on that topic. Pickle juice, mustard, sometimes olive juice. Sometimes olives do not have vinegar in the brine, but it still might help. That salty, briny liquid might still help, but why not just use pickle juice? And pickles are cheaper than olives anyway, usually. Or like, you know, the banana. If you have this stuff on hand anyway because you like these kind of banana peppers or capers, capers would also be in that briny water. Anything that will help. So those are the home remedies, tried and true for decades upon decades. And I will link to that podcast if you want to learn the actual science of why those quirky little home remedies work. And remember to check out the sugar and food addiction course. And the link that I'm going to include to that is just to get on the mailing list. If you're on the mailing list, there's no financial obligation. You're not buying the course. The course isn't even open for sale until a little bit later in the year, a couple of weeks from now. But being on the mailing list, you will be notified as soon as it opens up and it's available. And plus, being on the mailing list, you will get some helpful educational emails from Dr. Tarman before the course even opens. You get on the list and she's already going to be sending you like these little tidbits about food addiction and sugar addiction. But so just get on the list. It's free to be on the list, and you, when the time comes that the course is open, you can purchase it, or if it's not your thing, you don't purchase it, but at least if you're on the list, you will know when it's ready. So I will see you next time. Enjoy the mustard, enjoy the pickles, and I'll catch you later.